Okay, game 1, no removal, but we have lands and Unexpected Windfall into Hullbreaker Horror and Behold the Multiverse. So, aside from possibly having a slightly awkward time against an aggressive deck, which Snow-Covered Mountain probably means, this is a decent hand. Yeah, Rahilda's a big problem. And there's Jwari Disruption. That's not gonna be good enough. Okay, well, we are in a huge amount of trouble. And that's not Jwari Disruptionable. Okay. We're in a radically huge amount of trouble right off the bat. What did that hit? Lier? Oh, exciting. Okay, Sorin, you're gonna have to save us, because we haven't drawn any removal, and the opponent decided to curve out in a way that ignored Jwari Disruption. The good news is that if we don't die too incredibly horribly this turn... Okay, Spikefield Hazard, I'm really upset with them getting. And Galvanic Iteration, I'm really upset with them getting. Isn't that called not curving out? Well, we could have curved out if we had either been on the play or if the opponent had been more kind and given us... Okay, cool. Townraiser Tyrant is in fact a card we can counter. I like that. I'm just saying, technically there were options that were good. They just didn't happen to happen. Save me, Sorin. You're my only hope. Now, unfortunately, the opponent did hit Spikefield Hazard, which means I can't actually block this Rahilda with this 2-3, because they can just Spikefield Hazard it after first strike damage. But I might have to do that anyway. I could let the Rahilda deal another 4 damage to me. Does Rahilda let them cast it with any color of mana? Oh, not just any color, any mana. So they can animate Faceless Haven and then cast Spikefield Hazard with Faceless Haven. Oh, opponent, that's so dirty. Alright, Sorin, we put you in the deck to salvage our aggro matchup. Oh, opponent. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that they fired up, or that they didn't fire up Faceless Haven. Yeah, that's a Galvanic Iteration in my graveyard. Thanks, opponent. Yeah, that's a Brittle Blast. Oh, Brittle Blast hits Planeswalkers. Huh, okay. That does make the card moderately better than I had thought before. Oh, hey, cool, they stole our Meathook Massacre that we needed. Oh, hey, cool, we didn't draw anything relevant. So opponent turn it back to day. If I Sorin and down tick, we die. Okay. Well, it's amusing that we didn't have anything to do and also couldn't cast our spells and also didn't cast anything. Okay. This is what sideboards are for. We have Parasitic Grasp, we have Meathook Massacre. Those cards are nice. We can consider Malevolent Hermit. That's potentially interesting. What are we cutting here? Probably Hullbreaker Horror. Probably Behold the Multiverse. Probably Discover the Formula. Probably just supposed to lower my curve. I don't know whether I want 2 Infernal Grasps, but I really would have liked to have an Infernal Grasp last game, so... I mean, on turn 2, that is to say. So I think that means I don't not want Infernal Grasp. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Alright, we got a kitty. Opponent has a lot more sideboarding decisions than us to make, it would seem. We will happily take the play this time around. Alright, this hand's depressing. This hand's also very bad, but at least it's better. Okay. Well, all we have to do is draw blue mana, and then divide by 0, hopefully is a good card. We could also draw any mana at all, and then Unexpected Windfall is a decent card. Okay. We will go ahead and ping the Bloodthirsty Adversary. And take our 2 damage knocks. And draw blue mana. Perfect. Okay. And now divide by 0 can do good things. One hopes. I believe I'm willing to take this hit. I'd like to divide by 0 something more expensive than a 1-drop. Opponent disagrees. So if I try to divide by 0 the Falkenrath Pitfighter, they can just sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. Am I okay with that? Is that fine for me? I don't know. I'm gonna go with no, that's not, because then my divide by 0 gets fizzled. But now we just hold up Unexpected Windfall. What does the opponent have that's meaningful at instant speed? Alright, Electrostatic Blast is actually a meaningful card, that's true. Alright, opponent does some more damage to us. I'm assuming we get Townraiser Tyranted upon this turn. They might be missing a land drop, but they technically haven't missed it yet. They could be debating whether they want to play a tap land or an untap land. Or, because they have Electrostatic Blast as an effect that's currently floating, they might be weighing if they want to cast a smaller spell and possibly use their land drop for Electrostatic Blast. You know, if it hits like removal spell, land, then it rewards them for not making the land drop first. If my opponent doesn't do anything and passes to their end step, I'm not entirely certain what I want to discard to Unexpected Windfall here. Discarding a black source, it's not a huge deal because I'm going to have the treasures. But potentially not making a land drop could be a concern. Discarding another Unexpected Windfall also could be a problem. I think I'm probably supposed to discard the land drop. Makes Galvanic Iteration a much better draw, but still a little dicey. So now here at the end of turn, the opponent has an opening to try to play an Electrostatic Blast and hope that what they hit off Electrostatic Blast is relevant. So we did hit a land drop, but we don't have the black source, which means that if I want to play Sorin, I have to sack a treasure. I don't love that, but it is still probably correct. Alright. Oh, the cat hair is beginning to encroach in my throat already. Thanks, Flower. Okay, opponent. So we have a decent blocker and a planeswalker that's annoying. How do you respond to that? Presumably they have a bunch of instant speed stuff here that they left up. if my Sorin dies, I'm kind of tempted to just Behold the Multiverse rather than hold up Divide by Zero. I would get punished by a Townraiser Tyrant that they might have. And what does Electrostatic Blast reveal? So they cast a Spikefield Hazard that just hits my face. Dividing Electrostatic Blast doesn't do anything. Okay, I think that means I just foretell Behold the Multiverse then, and don't do anything with Divide by Zero. They didn't Spikefield Hazard my face, so that's cool, I guess. Alright, opponent, how good is 2-3 lifelinker against you? Because my hope is very. I will choose to block that. If the opponent is forced to commit 2 cards to kill my 2-3 and I gain a life, then that means that my Sorin was in total a 3-for-1. Okay. Opponent gets to play any of those 3 basic lands they want. I guess that means my Sorin was more like a 3-for-2. Hey! Arcastiello! Thanks for the raid. I presume that means that y'all were probably doing the Arena Open just before this as well, then? Let's see. I have one other Sorin that I can hit off of this Behold the Multiverse. So I think we're going to do that at sorcery speed. Busted? Ah, bummer. I'm sorry to hear it. I don't think I want more Divide by Zeros, and I don't think I need more Unexpected Windfall since they're not actually card advantage right now. Meathook Massacre is nice to have. Alright. We can probably discard Spikefield Hazard to Unexpected Windfall. More Electrostatic Blasts. Is that the third one? Alright. Opponent's card advantage is aplenty. Faceless Haven attacking is not something I'm actually, like, super well equipped to deal with. I guess I can Unexpected Windfall in response, because I do actually have... Well, it's probably worth Infernal Grasping it. I was hoping for the thing that hits humans and does 3 damage, but... better lose 2 life than 3. I'm assuming that's Spanish, but it could be Portuguese. I can't really tell the difference. Either way, unfortunately, I don't speak either one. I guess I took Spanish in high school, but only enough to have forgotten basically everything. And to remember that saying Yo Sabo is very funny and amusing and makes me laugh every time. 4 Electrostatic Blasts. Okay, opponent. Card advantage. You have it. Reckless Stormseeker. I could Divide by Zero that. Isn't that... I guess I can discover the formula into Divide by Zero, and that's probably a much more impactful turn. Oh, or I could do better. I could Parasitic Grasp for 1 mana. Kill the Stormseeker, gain 3 life, and not sack a treasure. Oh, you love to see it. Okay. Let's draw some cards. Where am I from? I am from Vancouver, Washington, in the United States. It was missing Epiphany with Meathook. Yeah. The problem with it really was that we kept having a tough time against aggro matchups, and I gotta say, the black cards are sort of the best answer to that I've been able to find so far. Sorin and Meathook Massacre do a lot of hedging against those decks, as we are currently seeing. As does Parasitic Grasp. And Infernal Grasp gives you a much better removal spell against dragons. On the whole things, it's all quite the improvement. Okay, wait, let's go to combat and swing. And then cast Meathook for 2 and kill the Rahilda after we've already gained our 2 life. And then we're down to Sorin again because I don't need Sorins. I just need 2-3 lifelinkers. That's the life we're living. Alright. Life gain engines set up and flourishing. Moonrager Slash. Alright, what does Electrostatic Blast hit? It hits a Moonrager Slash, apparently. You know what? If my opponent's going to be... Oh, wait, no, they cast that Moonrager Slash. If I divide by 0 that Moonrager Slash, it goes back to hand. So that's not terribly exciting. I mean, I guess I should probably still divide by 0 one of these. Means that we cost them a ton of tempo, I get to get a Mascot Exhibition, and I get a hit with a 2-3 lifelinker. I could divide by 0 the other Moonrager Slash as well, but I think I'd rather just hold on to divide by 0 than that. The blue-red version of Epiphany is pretty good. The problem is essentially just that the aggro matchups aren't good enough. The removal in blue-red doesn't really keep up with the speed of Alchemy. Losing the ability to make blockers with A-Alrund's Epiphany really did a lot to decrease the number of turns before the deck stabilized. You're completely correct that this is a lot more greedy, but somehow greedy is better against aggro and slightly worse against control. The big difference really isn't actually the lack of, like, more blue-red cards, so much as you're cutting the weaker blue-red removal. The big loss is, 1, the mana base consistency isn't as good, although Unexpected Windfall does help a lot there. But you don't really have the ability to play, what's the name of the land? Hall of the Storm Giants. That's kind of a significant loss, because it does change a lot of how control mirrors play out. But other than other Windfall decks, I still feel like you're favored against control decks that don't get to do something as powerful as playing Windfall at instant speed. I find myself sort of tempted to bring in Malevolent Hermit here, but I don't really know what for. There's not a ton of things it's super good against, but it does block some of the early creatures and could counter Electrostatic Blasts. There's some interesting theoretical 2-for-1s to be had there. What would we cut? Discover the Formula? And a Fading Hope, probably? No, probably an A-Alrund's Epiphany and a Fading Hope. I don't think this is going to be a match where I win with A-Alrund's Epiphany. Honestly, I could probably cut the other A-Alrund's Epiphany and, like, possibly play Discover the Formula. I actually probably prefer that. I think we win more with card advantage in the long term and life gain than we do with comboing off. Why do you say Windfall is so good against Esper? My camera is not focusing on my face, no. Currently I've got a kitty cat in my lap who is much more important than me. Alright, this is a curve out. This we get to play Magic with. The reason that Windfall is so good against Esper and control decks in general is because control matchups usually come down to one of 2 things mattering. I still need them to not play Rahilda on turn 2 because I don't have an answer to that. Okay, they played Rahilda on turn 2, so we just need to top deck an answer to that. Control matchups usually come down to whether which player has mana advantage and which player has card advantage. Unexpected Windfall is one of the only spells that gives you a significant mana advantage at instant speed. So if your opponent does something like tap out for a Teferi, and in response you cast Unexpected Windfall, the Unexpected Windfall player is actually pretty far ahead there. Especially once you start doing stuff like threatening Galvanic Iteration Unexpected Windfall to get a mana advantage and a card advantage at instant speed, it really limits what the other deck can do at sorcery speed. I could cast Spikefield Hazard here, and just not have anything to do next turn. but it prevents the Rahilda from flipping and doing more damage. If I don't do that, they're just going to play around Jwari Disruption anyway. But if I do that, they could just play... no, I think I have to let this happen. Oh, thank goodness. Stormseeker was what punished doing the Spikefield Hazard play at sorcery speed. I was worried they were going to play around Jwari Disruption, but thankfully for me, they did not. At least a dog you can trust. Oh, I can definitely trust the kitty cat. I know exactly how kitty cats behave. He's pretty consistent, and consistent means trustworthy. Did they still not fix Rahilda? If you mean, is Rahilda not a red creature on the backside? Then correct. Rahilda is still not a red creature on the backside. It is colorless once it is flipped. So it's night. Reckless Stormseeker is 4 damage. I should bounce the Stormseeker. Which of these do I want? Probably the Sciences. Oh, cool. They hit Galvanic Iteration and Spikefield again. And Divide by 0. Alright, that's going to make my life awkward. And Malevolent Hermit. Cool. The good news is that they are missing land drops, and that's somewhat helpful at least. I still have no ability to answer this Rahilda, so that's neat. I think I'm gonna have to Unexpected Windfall. I could Environmental Sciences and Fading Hope to turn it back to day. They play the Reckless Stormseeker. I guess I'd rather Unexpected Windfall and make that same line happen. I lose a treasure, but I get to loot towards removal. I kind of like this. Okay, an Abrade is removal. Our life total is moderately stable. The opponent's missing some land drops. I'm probably going to get to play Celestus into 2 removal spells. That's... Alright, this is shaping up to be decent. I think I want to hold up 2 removal spells rather than Environmental Sciences. I want to make sure that my opponent is behind on board as possible. Sure, opponent has Rahilda. We are going to destroy the Stormseeker. We are going to destroy the Rahilda. Lier. But I lack the mana to do anything with Lier right now. I can't even Fading Hope because I don't have the other blue source. Which I think means I'm casting Behold the Multiverse first. I think I probably do want Behold. I might not need Behold. There is a risk that my opponent kills Lier, in which case I will need the other Behold. Alright, we hit the land drop. We get to Environmental Sciences. There was a chance that Behold hit a removal spell, which is why I cast it first, but I guess there was also a risk that I could hit both basics and leave me in trouble. We have Lier and want mana, which is a consideration to have put Behold to the bottom, yes. But there's the possibility that after I play Lier, the opponent plays Brittle Blast, and then I could potentially just die to the fact that my opponent has a grip of 7 cards, and I'm in danger of running out of cards. So by keeping the Behold, I made it slightly more likely we missed land drops, but I feel like I played around the potential for our opponent to immediately remove the Lier, which seems like the most likely way we lose in this spot. I think I want more blue sources. Okay. So I can play Lier into my opponent's open mana, which gives them the ability to Brittle Blast it. If they Brittle Blast it, then I divide by 0 the Brittle Blast, get Teachings of the Archaic, and pass. And I'm pretty confident they have a Brittle Blast because they don't have any 2 or 3 mana creatures. They would have played that. Fading up the Lier. Yeah, we could do that and then not have... I guess then I also get to do the Behold. Yeah, alright, that works. That's true, that's true. I forgot that we had a Fading Hope in the graveyard. I should probably get used to manually tapping the Celestus, because they could theoretically have an Abrade or something here. Also, if we end up... Oh, okay. Oh, that's why they passed, to turn on Moonrager's Slashes. Got it. Okay. So you're saying we're in danger of being burnt out here. In that case... we get to play the Environmental Sciences to gain some life. There's no basics to find, but it does gain 2 life. And it gains another life because it turns it back to day. So the good old gain 3 life, draw no cards sorcery. Discover the formula. Huh. Is that worth binning Behold the Multiverse? I don't want to get rid of a land drop. I think Discover the Formula is good enough to discard here, given that we have the Fading Hope to protect the Lier. Otherwise, I don't think I would do that. Alright, our opponent continues burning our face, which is a concern. This is where it would be really nice to find a Sorin. This is still a very losable game. I don't have a lot of answers to burn spells other than Celestus, which I might be in the business of just activating at sorcery speed now. Yeah, opponent has infinity card advantage and burn spells. Luckily, this kind of just fizzles the electrostatic blast. Storm Shatterskull Charger. It's concerning. Alright, we go to our turn. We get to play a land drop. Divide by 0 is an extremely good draw. I think I'm doing nothing at sorcery speed here, because I desperately want to turn it to night. The opponent's used 2 Moonrager's Slash, so we give them a mana advantage if they find more. I guess, no, they've used 1. Okay. Which is a concern, but I think I have to gain life here. I guess I can take action here and draw and discard a card. Probably the land. I want to discard spells to Lier, but Divide by 0 and Discover the Formula are both cards I care about getting to cast twice. Yeah, Moonrager's Slash was the scary one. That's true. Opponent hits some Faceless Havens. I don't like it, but bouncing Moonrager's Slash doesn't accomplish anything. Townraiser Tyrant. Okay, that at least we totally don't care about. And our opponent was kind enough to switch it back to day, so we gain a little bit of life. Mascot Exhibition's pretty tempting. Oh, this was a mistake. No, it's fine. This was correct. I thought I had 1 less mana than I do, but I can still cast Discover the Formula. Ooh, alright, Parasitic Grasp. That is gain 6 life. We are excited to see it. Yeah, we can't counter it because there's a Lier in play, so all spells are uncounterable. We will draw a card. We will discard a Fading Hope. We will make a land drop. We will attack with Lier. And I don't think I want a Parasitic Grasp at sorcery speed here, because I'd like to gain the 1 life from switching it to Night, and I have enough Behold the Multiverse, or I have enough Divide by Zeros, I think, that I'm not scared of like dying to a Moonrager's Slash in response to my Parasitic Grasp. Well, maybe I am. Maybe I actually am. No, because I'm not going to be at 3 life. I'm going to be at 4 life if it turns to Night. And if they try to Moonrager Slash me in response to the Celestus trigger, then I get to respond to Moonrager's Slash by casting Parasitic Grasp on Lier. Yeah, okay, so this is fine to pass on. Faceless Haven is a human, but if they try to cast a burn spell on me, then I'm going to want to use Parasitic Grasp as a life gain spell, and then Lier's the only target that's on the board. Technology is so cool, I can cast either the TV at the place I'm out sitting. Well, it is nice to hear. Okay, I can just double Parasitic Grasp that. It's nice to hear that you get a high-res top half of a cat to look at. Yes, this resolving is fine. I would... Oh, I can't actually kill that because it's not a human at night. Got it. Okay, well. Awkward. Still. Come on. 3 damage to it, gain 3 life, and Abrade it. This still works. It's just not quite as cute as getting to resolve both Parasitic Grasps. Alright, then what do we do? Then we resolve Discover the Formula. The opponent can't burn us out while we're at 7. We get to play a Sorin, and a Malevolent Hermit that doesn't really do anything because we got a Lier in play already, but I think we've stabilized. Play a Sorin. Downtick. Play Malevolent Hermit. And then probably pass. Turn it back to day. Opponent's stuff costs more and is weaker. We gain a life. And to think, if we didn't play all of this black life gain, we would still be in danger of just dying to burn spells. Yeah, I did make this deck. I actually forget how involved I was with making the original blue-red list in turns, to be honest. It's been a while, and I know a bunch of people were working on it, and I was one of the people who was developing it at the start, but I kind of lost track of who simultaneously developed it. But anyway, I was involved in making that, and then this has been the product of a couple of days worth of testing to try to figure out how to adapt to the A-Alrund's Epiphany nerf. Okay, so somehow we made it through Burn, thanks to the addition of black mana. I'm going to give that full credit for that last game, not going terribly. So what do we play against this time, eh? So the question is, why don't you want to play Key to the Archive? Do you think it's unnecessary? Is that a question in terms... this is a weird hand. Doesn't even have double blue. Is that a question in terms of generally with different decks or with this deck specifically? Because I think those are two very different answers. I'm going to keep this. I mean, it's got removal, and it's got land drops, and that's basically everything I want to do. And if my opponent plays control cards, then I got land drops. That's the goal. There's a small chance that my opponent isn't on control. In which case I should have played the mountain first so I could Spikefield Hazard if they wind up playing some aggressive creature. They are not on control. But luckily... Wow, what is my opponent doing? They are blue-white clues is what's happening. Okay. Okay. I don't know what's going on, but alright. This deck specifically. I have felt like the mana acceleration from Key is not totally necessary for this deck. The color fixing isn't terrible, but we already have a lot of 4-drops. Justice Department? Yeah, alright. Slayer's Bounty, Faithbound Judge, Investigation. That is sort of thematic, isn't it? I could Infernal Grasp this Faithbound Judge, but I don't know if I'm supposed to do that. I guess it's tempo, but then they disturbed eventually? Huh. Dividing by 0, Sinner's Judgment isn't exciting, but I guess I probably should tempo this? I don't know. All the Storm Giants is annoying. And I just used my one clean answer to it. Okay, opponent, how much card advantage do you have? And how much of a problem is this for me? I'm getting kind of out card advantaged pretty hard here, and I don't actually have anything to do with my cards because the opponent isn't actually playing anything. Never mind, everything's fine. We drew a Sorin. I can put things into play now. Golly, Sorin's a fun 4-drop. Alright, opponent. Bound in gold. Does that mean... I take it... it's literally not letting me read the card underneath here. Come on, bound in gold. Activated abilities can't be activated. Okay. In that case... Ooh, Discover the Formula is a nice draw. I still don't know if I'm ever going to have a use for this Spikefield Hazard, but... I feel like I'm probably supposed to keep making this bound in gold go away to make our opponent's life kind of uncomfortable. That's a lot of mana investment for them. I think I snag Environmental Sciences. I think I uptick Sorin before I deck Thin, because... No, I do not. Because the only time deck thinning matters is if Sorin hits an island, and if Sorin hits an island, that's actually really bad for me. So I'm supposed to cast this Environmental Sciences before upticking Sorin, because the island is literally the only hit for Environmental Sciences. I could down-tick the Sorin, but then they're not forced to use Bound in Gold on it. Okay. Galvanic Iteration is a good card to draw. Elite Spellbinder, sure. One assumes that hits Discover the Formula, but I've been rewarded for saving my Spikefield Hazard. If I divide by 0 the Bound in Gold again, then I don't have an answer to the Sinner's Judgment. And I should probably keep an answer to the Sinner's Judgment. Okie dokie. Yeah. I think that means the plan is just to pass for the time being. I could Galvanic Iteration into Divide by 0 to bounce the Bound in Gold at some point, depending on what the opponent plays. Opponent makes more clues. Many card advantages. All. Alright. My 2/3 is a no one. Bound in Gold being an answer to a Planeswalker is pretty spicy. Could choose to divide by 0 the Bound in Gold, but then that still leaves me in a spot where I don't have an answer to the Sinner's Judgment. So, no. Jwari Disruption. Tempted to hold that so that I could counter Secrets of the Key here, but I think there's a pretty strong likelihood that I'm going to need that land drop to cast Discover the Formula next turn, which currently seems like that's pretty relevant to me. Oh, that's true. We could bounce Sorin instead of Bound in Gold. That's an option. Opponent makes many clues. Many cards opponent has. So many cards. What is the spellbook on Slayer's Bounty? Bound in Gold is relevant. Collar the Culprit is relevant, and instant speed in terms of removing Lier. Expel, Fairgrounds Warden, Iron Verdict, Seal Away, Summary Judgment. Okay, so there is a very strong chance that if we ever put Lier into play, we make absolutely certain that we do not tap it. Because the opponent is going to be almost inevitably flush with removal that hits tapped creatures. I need to make sure to put this Blightstep Pathway on red, because it is very important that I have 3 red sources to Galvanic Iteration Windfall. Very well, opponent. Our 0-1 can no longer block. You got it. A-Alrund's Epiphany. Alright, that could do something at some point, considering we have Galvanic Iteration. How worried should I be about my opponent having access to some sort of counterspell? I feel like right now is the point at which my opponent is least likely to have a counterspell, so we are going to attempt to resolve this Discover the Formula. Spikefield Hazard isn't a very fun hit, but we've got a discounted A-Alrund's Epiphany and 2 discounted Galvanic Iterations, so provided that my opponent doesn't just somehow totally shred my hand and kill me here, I feel like our setup is nice. I do have an Abrade for that Slayer's Bounty. That's probably a good thing. What is the chant used for? The chant. Okay. Opponent's activating Hall. What do you mean by chant? Oh, what is that kind of chant? I don't know. Can't say I've ever come up with one. Okay, so 6, 3... I should have played Spikefield Hazard. I should have counted my lands first. I'm 1 mana short of taking 3 turns in a row. Oh well. That will be actually a problem, won't it? I could take 2 turns, but without any follow-up card draw for the next turn, that's not really acceptable. I could foretell A-Alrund's Epiphany here. That's kind of broadcasting what's going on a little bit much, but I do actually think those 2 birds could matter. Alright, we'll see how bad that misplay costs me. Alright, and while the opponent's tapped out, let's get rid of that pesky little artifact. If the opponent animates Hall of the Storm Giants again, I can Fading Hope that for tempo. Yeah, drawing an untapped land would help fix my mistake from Spikefield Hazarding earlier. Or from not playing the Spikefield Hazard earlier, rather. But no, the opponent just decides they want to draw more cards. More cards. Alright, well, Infernal Grasp is a decent answer to Hall of the Storm Giants, at least. Alright, opponent. I'm giving you an opportunity to draw just infinity cards to punish my earlier mistake. They want to make treasures instead of drawing cards. Okay. Sure. I'm a little nervous. Is this legendary? It is legendary. Okay. Look at all the creature cards in my hand, opponent. They are all revealed to you. I suppose if I'm willing to use up my Divide by Zero and not have a clean answer to Sinner's Judgment, then I can bounce Sorin and start upticking it during my pile of extra turns. Maybe that's acceptable. Okay. Enchanted player loses the game. That would be me. Gotcha. So then do I just want to Divide by Zero now, bouncing the Sorin and the Sinner's Judgment? Actually, I probably bounced the Bound in Gold. The opponent's activated Slayer's Bounty a billion times. They probably just have another Bound in Gold in hand anyway. Yeah, that tracks to me. Alright, so let's be somewhat mana efficient here. Come on. This way I don't need to spend any mana on replaying Sorin. That said, copying Mascot Exhibition while taking 3 extra turns is probably going to be lethal anyway. Right, okay, I have other spells to cast. No, I don't have any other spells to cast. I thought the opponent was deciding what to discard to hand size. That was my bad. Gunio 4-0'd with Esper on his first try, and then drafted a truly awful cube deck. Ah, life goals. Okay, land drop, Galvanic Iteration. Galvanic Iteration. I'm really hoping I correctly remembered that Whirlwind Denial is not a legal spell in this format. Next turn. And an extra turn. And an extra turn. And some birds. Oh, it's been a while since we've seen any of those. Alright, let's make some creatures to attack with. Oh, and a Lier. Nifty. Alright, Sorin, do you want to hit a land for me? Oh, that's not a land. But I don't want to not draw cards, so I guess my life goes down by 4, unfortunately. And then we hit the opponent. And then we cast Galvanic Iteration. And then we cast Mascot Exhibition. And this probably is lethal? Seems like lethal. Alright, I would like to take the second of my 3 extra turns, opponent. Oh, there's the land. Alright, and if I attack with everything, we hope the opponent doesn't play Cantrip into Settle the Wreckage. Or rather, Ritual into Settle the Wreckage, I suppose, is what they would need to have. Our life total might not be an issue, but who knows what the opponent's on. I'm willing to allow that anything could happen, but the opponent did not successfully cast Settle the Wreckage on 3 lands in a format where Settle the Wreckage is illegal, so I think we lucked out there. Oh, and imagine how brutal that would have been Settle the Wreckage hitting like 12 creatures, and I already have every basic in my deck? Ah. Truly brutal. So knowing literally nothing about what the opponent has in their deck, I'm assuming Meathook Massacres are bad. I'm assuming Fading Hopes are bad. I'm assuming I should probably keep Infernal Grasp. Otherwise, maybe I die to 4/4s? That seems sketchy, but okay. Hullbreaker Horror seems good. Malevolent Hermit seems good. Disdainful Strokes and Go Blank seem fine? We have no clue why the opponent had red lands. It's a mystery. Which spellbook has Settle? I don't know if any of them do. I think Key has Wrath of God, and that's it. Go Blank does eat the Judge, but at the same time, Slayer's Bounty means our opponent kind of has like infinity cards in hand, and the Mind Rot half of it isn't super interesting. We also saw literally 0 cards casted this game other than the back half of Judge that Disdainful Stroke actually hits. I wonder if I should be nervous that the opponent like turns into an aggro deck somehow. Okay, I'm gonna board another Infernal Grasp in. And I guess I'm gonna board in a Disdainful Stroke. At the very least, we know our opponent is playing all of the Storm Giants, and that means Infernal Grasp can't be dead. Good point. I should... Woo! Change this record thing. This hand sucks, but Sorin's cool. The record thing should say record 1-0. And the font size should get scaled down. And the box size should be increased. It's really tall, but whatever. That's good enough. Okay. Let's start with land drop, and then let's go. Opponent did, in fact, try to turn into an aggro deck. Aha. Or at... I want to Infernal Grasp this, but I do want this Blightstep Pathway to be on red. That's awkward. Maybe I don't need to Infernal Grasp it anytime soon. Alright, no Infernal Grasping the Faithful Disciple. I really care about having double red mana available on later turns. Okay, Faithful Disciple, please don't kill me. Yeah. I should probably consider bringing back in the Meathook Massacres then. We didn't see the opponent play any creatures last game, but that doesn't mean they don't have any. Oh, interesting. They get rid of the Divide by Zero instead of the Sorin. I wonder if that means they're going to play another Spellbinder next turn. I am definitely willing to remove the Spellbinder. And then our opponent does nothing. Okay. Does that mean they have a counterspell for the Sorin? Possibly. I think I just play Hermit then. They might have Disdainful Stroke. It's a reasonable sideboard card to have in your sideboard against dragons. Okay. Mia, Crafty Companion. Whenever an opponent attacks one or more planeswalkers you control, put a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. I guess that's what the red mana's for? Maybe? To play Luca? Alright. Well, I probably lose my Sorin here, because I think they remove the vampire token. Oh, or they tap the vampire token. Oh, okay. We missed a land drop, so we're actually not in terribly excellent position here. Wait, and attacking Sorin is bad? Oh, yuck. Actually super yuck. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability, you may draw a card. Wow, that's annoyingly good, isn't it? Well, we still net do 1 damage to the fairy and gain 2 life by attacking. And then I guess we just jam the Lier? Gives us an Infernal Grasp for Mia again? Okay, so Mia only triggers once per attack phase, regardless of how many creatures attack. Angelic Gift was from Faithful Disciple. Elite Spellbinder, okay. Probably makes, I assume, Discover the Formula cost more? So I can't kill Teferi this turn because of Mia. Oh, that's not actually true. I could Infernal Grasp the Mia. They draw a card. I could Galvanic Iteration Infernal Grasp. Opponent draws 2 cards. I kill both of their creatures and then kill the Teferi. For sure. Or I could Infernal Grasp the Mia. They trade. Teferi goes to 2. Mia is the companion Luca met on Strixhaven, I believe. Huh. I think I'm on plan make sure to kill Teferi. I don't want my opponent to have more mana. Yeah, you can draw a card, opponent. It doesn't make me happy, but it is fair. And you can draw another card, opponent. Still doesn't make me happy, but it's fair. And then Teferi dies.
Suppose that's how it was meant to happen.
Where does that put you, opponent? Oh, they took the horror instead of Discover the Formula. Well, that gives me something nice to cast. I feel like I'm too nervous to attack with Lier here. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe I shouldn't be. I don't really need the Lier, per se. I wish I knew more about what flash creatures were in the format that could theoretically block me here. I guess I have Divide by Zero in that case. But now I either have Discover the Formula or Galvanic Windfall. Oh, well, that's a flash creature, but it isn't super relevant here. Okay, still don't really understand what my opponent's doing, but they've clearly boarded into something resembling an aggressive deck. Okay, Spectral Adversary resolves. Are you pumping it, opponent? You are. Okay. So I could Galvanic Windfall, discarding Discover the Formula, or I could play Discover the Formula. Which is better? Which is better? It's probably better to Galvanic Windfall and just be guaranteed to have all the extra mana. I've still got a Horror and a Divide by Zero that cost more. So even if my Lier gets removed, which actually, because it's fading out, they just protected it from being removed on their turn, come to think of it, I still have plenty to do. Alrighty, we take a little bit of damage. Well, with this much mana and this many cards, I feel pretty comfortable. Wow, okay. Yeah, I super misread the opponent's deck after last game. They are absolutely an aggro list. Alright, we got no more Galvanic Iterations. I could resolve Horror and then have 2 mana left up. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I dislike that, though. Lots of tempting options here. I think I probably just pass and do stuff on my opponent's end of turn. When my opponent attacks with Spectral Adversary, I get to block it, and then a removal spell on Intrepid Adversary kills it later in the turn. Or I could try to play Hullbreaker Horror now, which gets to block the adversary. Is that the correct use of my mana? I think I'm comfortable making these blocks and seeing if the opponent wants to do anything. If they don't, then we will Infernal Grasp the adversary and see what happens. Okay. This seems fine. Okay, key to the archive. Sure. I'm completely unsure of what the opponent's going to play on any given turn. So I guess now I have to worry about approach as a possible win con? Did they just discard Galvanic? Oh my! I keep getting surprised! Oh, I really have no idea what to expect. Okay, let's flash back this Discover the Formula then. Okay, A-Alrund's Epiphany is probably going to be helpful. But I don't have any Galvanic Iterations yet. Alright, attack with Lier. We have more or less infinity counter spells up. I'm going to get to cast 2 Discover the Formulas, hopefully. Well, maybe not. Spellbinder. Okay. That's probably going to hit A-Alrund's Epiphany, so I think I want to cast Discover the Formula in response to make the A-Alrund's Epiphany a tiny bit cheaper before it gets removed from my hand. No Spikefield Hazards in hand, unfortunately. And they do, in fact, take the A-Alrund's Epiphany. It's nice that I'm going to have, like, my hand size increased by all of these cards the opponent has conveniently tucked into a different side of the deck. Teleportation Circle, Blinking Key to the Archive, huh? Okay, sure. In response to the teleportation ability to target the key, I'm going to bounce the key with Divide by 0. Or, honestly, I could just let that resolve. They get more spells off key. And then I play Discover the Formula again. And have a chance to hit Galvanic. Yeah, okay, they don't even go for key. Sure. So this sounds like probably Discover the Formula then. I think I'm just trying to hit Galvanic. 3, 6, 7. Oh, actually, I guess my mana doesn't super make that convenient, does it? No. Alright. What do you want to target? Discover the Formula seems a bit OP. It's good. It's extremely expensive, but it's good. We made Unexpected Windfall cost more. I think I'm just playing Unexpected Windfall in order to keep my treasures around. I don't actually have as much mana as I would like. I think we just discard Behold the Multiverse. No Galvanic still. There is a Sorin. Alright. Well, we continue to have lots of mana, and I continue to feel like the thing that it's most important I play around is my opponent somehow trying to play Galvanic into Epiphany on me. So I think I'm probably still, once again, just passing. I could play the Sorin, I guess, but I don't see a need. I don't need to uptick it. Making a 2-3 lifelinker does buoy my life total, but I think this game's going to end in a short enough number of turns that my life total isn't relevant here. My knife total is always relevant. Opponent, once again, presumably blinks Spellbinder, sure. Interesting fact, if I stack up more cost discounts on this Divide by Zero, then if my opponent takes it with Spellbinder, it still could end up costing only 1 mana. But I think on the off chance I hit a Galvanic Iteration, I would prefer to discover the formula after the Spellbinder. How solved is the Arena format? If you mean the Alchemy format, not at all, even a little tiny bit. Like, on a scale of 0 to 100, probably a 25. Still no Galvanic. I guess I can just try to jam this Horror. I think with the ability to cast 2 Spikefield Hazards or 2 Divide by Zeros, my Horror is relatively safe here. And then we get to untap, and that's cool. Okay, well then I guess we're just going to win the game. We're going to return the Mia. Opponent draws a card. Cool. Now if this actually resolves, they don't end up drawing a card every single time I cast a spell. Lovely. Then we will Spikefield the Spellbinder and return the key to the archive, and when that happens, they are restricted on their ability to cast any non-Jeskai key to the archive cards. Alright, Galvanic Iteration into what, opponent? I still have like 4 counterspells available here, so I don't think that whatever they cast next is going to matter very much. Don't you think this deck would appreciate a couple of CA restorations? I don't think that ends up being necessary, but it is very tempting, yes. Alright, and then we will take an extra turn and play out a land and go to combat and attack. Alright. The mana base for Grixis doesn't really support CK Restoration. I was playing 2 copies in the older versions of just straight up, is it? But, yeah. It's already kind of a stretch to run the Jwari Disruptions and the Spikefield Hazards as far as the mana base goes, but man, that's kind of why we're playing 29 lands. But I think Jwari Disruption and Spikefield are more impactful, even though they don't necessarily come into play untapped, than CK Restoration. Alrighty, game 3, let's update the record. This hand is worth keeping. I would like it better on the play, like most hands, but Unexpected Windfall into Meathook Massacre is a stabilizing tool against a lot of decks. Now, as far as mana sequencing goes, I think I'm supposed to lead on Shipwreck Marsh, because it gives us access to Abrade on turn 2, while still playing the Riverglide Pathway on red in order to have double red for Unexpected Windfall. drawing Blightstep Pathway means that this decision is a lot less important. And I could choose to just represent Spikefield Hazard on turn 1, but I don't know, I'm not going to bother. What deck would you play in best of 1? Best of 3 takes forever. I don't know much about the best of 1 meta, to be entirely honest. I'd probably play mono green, because mono green's fun. Oh, we did draw Abrade. Cool. Well, I do want to have access to double blue, so let's play Searstep Pathway as our red land. So this pumped something in their hand, huh? This looks like Orzhov Clerics, or no, Esper Clerics. So they didn't play a card that benefits from life gain pre-combat. That means I believe they're probably going to play... I'm going to take this damage. There's a chance they try to play a clone here post-combat. And if they play a clone, I get to blow it out by abrading the Angel of Unity. Spellbinder instead. Okay. Oh, I didn't know this card triggered whenever they cast something. That definitely makes it correct to have abraded it. Whoops. Okay. Well, if the opponent wants to take a Abrade, I think that sets me up for Meathook Massacre. They probably end up taking Divide by Zero. Yeah. And if they take Divide by Zero, then I have to abrade the Spellbinder, because I'm going to fall too far behind on tempo otherwise. Yeah, I don't love the fact that I didn't abrade this Angel. But we've learned something. And big Righteous Valkyrie. Okay. That makes Meathook scary. Or rather, it makes it hard for Meathook to actually kill something, I suppose is more so what I meant to say. If they get to the point where they have Righteous Valkyrie active, their board is going to be just absolutely gigantic. Pyre of Heroes with the ability to activate it immediately. Sacking Angel of Unity, getting a Righteous Valkyrie, gaining 4 life, activating Righteous Valkyrie. That's a problem. Okay. I'm slightly in danger. I guess I can divide by 0 one of the Righteous Valkyries, and then try to kill the other one. Let's do this in response, in case we hit an unconditional removal spell for the Righteous Valkyrie. We do not, but we do hit more divide by zeros, and that's kind of interesting. Oh, it's just Spellbinder. Okay, opponent, you're gonna regret that because I wound up with 2 Meathooks. Okay, we should be sort of alright here, I think. The other divide by 0 gets more expensive. They gain 1 life. Sure. So now I just wipe the board, right? Because they didn't gain enough life to turn on Righteous Valkyrie? Yeah, Shadow's Verdict isn't... What? I don't believe that that's an oops opponent. I think you've got the spell to bring back a creature when I kill it. But, well, this is why we have 2 Meathook Massacres. Yeah, Rebirth, I'm expecting. Yep, Rebirth. Angel of Unity. Sacking Angel of Unity. Alright, I'm in problems. This time they get the correct 3-drop, and my life is awkward. Would like to find some unconditional removal spells. There we go. Okay. What's the most mana efficient way to do this? Would it be to bounce the Righteous Valkyrie with the slightly more expensive Divide by Zero? I think that's the case. I don't know that I'm going to have time to do any of this. Maybe the environmental sciences winds up mattering. They play the Valkyrie, they gain a bunch of life. They sack a Valkyrie, they gain a bunch of life. Inquisitor Captain, okay. That could be really good for me. As long as it doesn't hit another Righteous Valkyrie, at least. It hit another Righteous Valkyrie. Okay, that's a problem. That's annoying. So how do we handle this? Infernal Grasp, 1 Valkyrie, divide by 0 the other. Opponent Pyre of Heroes into Inquisitor Captain again. Sure. Alright. There's a chance if we hit an untapped land drop. Oh, that was a Glasspool Mimic. Oh, this is actually good for me as long as they don't hit another Righteous Valkyrie then. Because this makes Meathook Massacre even better. Oh, Dawnbringer Cleric is not Righteous Valkyrie, opponent! Alright. Oh, but I guess Pyre of Heroes is Righteous Valkyrie. So I'm back to needing an untapped land to survive. Well, not survive. I can Meathook Massacre for 5, and although that doesn't kill Righteous Valkyrie, it wipes the rest of the board and gains me a bunch of life. Hey, come on, untap land. No. No. Alright. Well, I don't like this, but 'tis what is correct to do. How are we answering this Righteous Valkyrie, huh? Does this count as a 2-mana creature? I don't think so. I think it counts as a 1-mana creature. So it pyres into a 2-drop and not into a Righteous Valkyrie that would kill us. Steel, I guess I'm not currently dead on board. I can divide by 0 the Righteous Valkyrie next turn, and then Luminous Phantom is only 1 damage. Although they can just pyre the heroes into a 2-drop, I guess, that could just do 2 damage. Yeah, that's... Oh, Professor of Symbology, it does 2 damage, no. So. Well, I guess Environmental Sciences does actually put us up to the point where we have more than 2 life, doesn't it? Hullbreaker Horror. I'm just a tiny bit short on mana to cast. Okay. So I still need to dodge the opponent finding a 2-drop that they can pyre of heroes into a Righteous Valkyrie. Or just a Righteous Valkyrie. Is it worth getting teachings? Or should I loot instead? If I loot, there's a chance I hit one of the 2 remaining Spikefield Hazards. That's pretty tempting, actually. Get 2 Pyre of Heroes into a Righteous Valkyrie here. I think that's their last Valkyrie. No, I think they got 1 more. One of the ones we answered was a Glasspool Mimic. I think I'm looting away Unexpected Windfall here. Behold the Multiverse isn't any better. If they pyre of heroes into any flyer, then Mascot Exhibition isn't good enough. So one imagines this is going to get the 3/1 flyer that gets to look at our hand. Oh, what? Why Skyclave Apparition and give me access to the ability to make a blocker? Oh, to Pyre of Heroes into Aura? Okay, but then you're not playing... Really? Oh, that seems extremely bad, opponent. That seems really, really, really bad. I guess they have Aura in play now? And they can sack something to give Angel of Unity +2 power with a Righteous Valkyrie out of the graveyard or out of the one from hand. So I do actually have to answer the Angel of Unity? Annoying, because it'd be really tempting to just play the Hullbreaker Horror. But that doesn't seem to be an option. So I can play Mascot Exhibition, but then the opponent's just gonna have, like, an infinite number of flying attackers next turn, and that's no good. I could play Discover the Formula. Is there any reason to do that at sorcery speed? Or can I wait to see if the opponent doesn't threaten lethal with Angel of Unity somehow? Playing Mascot Exhibition is probably pretty likely to keep me alive this turn, but I think I'm still falling very far behind if I do that. So I think I'm going to take the line that gives my opponent the most opportunity to mess up, which is to just pass and hold up Discover the Formula as the removal spell to try to answer Angel of Unity. Yeah. I already used my Abrade, so it doesn't matter that I'm waiting on Discover the Formula here. Otherwise, using it before the Angel of Unity got to 3 toughness technically mattered. Professor of Symbology. Which tutors for an answer to Hullbreaker Horror. That's inconvenient. And goes and grabs another Righteous Valkyrie. I don't think I have really any effective answers to this. So I get to divide by 0 the Angel of Unity. 2 Spikefield Hazards is actually pretty interesting if I hit an untapped land. Let's loot away the Celestus, maybe? No, the Mascot Exhibition, I think. Because we're looking for untapped lands. That's not an untapped land. We get to make this block. If we hit an untapped land... Wait, no, we made Hullbreaker Horror cheaper. So I can still do all the bounce spells I think I need to do to stay alive here. I forgot about that. Untapped land still would have been better, but this is still viable. Oh, but how do we play around Reduced to Memory? How do we play around Reduced to Memory? How? Yeah, Fading Hope would have been so much better than Spikefield Hazard. For sure. Need to remove 4 things. I can do that, but I don't think I can play around Reduced to Memory here. I think I could have if I hit an untapped land, though. Alright, pass the turn. Declare attackers. Sure. Hullbreaker Horror. Block Aura. Spikefield the Veteran. Bounce Righteous Valkyrie. Spikefield the Veteran. Bounce Righteous Valkyrie. Alright. Successfully not dead, but the Reduced to Memory is still gonna beat me. How much time left? Ah, plenty. 18 minutes to 21. Reduced to Memory, though. Okay, it's fine. We can still hit a Lier and not be dead. I think. Maybe. We might still be dead. Because that Elite Spellbinder has pumps on it and doesn't die to Spikefield Hazard. Oh. No, not like this. Oh, I can't believe we were so close. I think I might not have been able to make it even with an untapped land. No, yeah, maybe? Yeah, I think an untapped land probably would have... No, because I wouldn't have been able to block. An untapped land wouldn't have done it. Okay, what do we do? Behold the Multiverse versus Unexpected Windfall. I think we have more outs if we Unexpected Windfall. Sorin, but I don't have enough mana to Infernal Grasp after that. Oh, you're saying we're off by 1? No, we're not, because they can just play the other Righteous Valkyrie. No, wait, I could still play around that if I had 1 more mana. Okay, but Behold the Multiverse, does that somehow have something that it can hit? No, we needed A-Alrund's Epiphany earlier. Galvanic bounce spell? Nope. Alright. Didn't get there. The Veteran was a 2-2, yes. Which meant that when it was a 2-2, we could have left it unblocked, but before we shrunk it down to being a 2-2, that wouldn't have worked. Okay, definitely more Hullbreaker Horrors. That's the best card in the matchup. Definitely more Infernal Grasps. Parasitic Grasp is almost tempting. It does hit a decent number of things naturally. Not hitting Righteous Valkyrie is a very significant problem, though. That's by far and away the most significant card in the matchup. Meathook Massacre, I think we want. Unfortunately, most of these cards are okay. Was it better to use 1 Spikefield on their aura so it wouldn't exile and they couldn't bring back the Spellbinder? That might have been better. I don't know about going to 1, but maybe? That is an interesting consideration. If we need to cut 3 cards, what are we cutting? Behold the Multiverse for sake of not having enough time? I don't know about going to 3 Meathooks, honestly. It's not good against so much of their deck. Although when it's good, it's very good. Could trim Abrade, but I kind of want interaction for their early creatures. He kills everything other than the Flying Cleric. Sorin is potentially a card that we could cut, although it's pretty okay. Probably supposed to cut it. Is Hermit good against the artifact that sacrifices creatures? No. Not really. It's pretty easy for them to play it with... They don't tend to play it into the late game anyway, which means that you typically would have them having enough mana to pay for it, and Cleric and Hermit doesn't do anything against their early creatures. Oh, this hand is bad. We'll keep it. Behold the Multiverse makes this at least a little bit better. Because we're pretty likely to make our 3rd land drop. Isn't Abrade the most important for Pyre? I guess. Removing Pyre usually tends to not matter as much as removing their early creatures. Those are not fun cards to put on the bottom. Lands, however, are fun to draw. Okay. So there is a chance here. We bounce Cleric before they gain life. The potential to deny them how quickly they get to 27 life is very important. Opponent gets Environmental Sciences. Do they have their 3rd land drop? Yes, because it's still pausing. They're just deciding what to play. Now we hope to hit a land. We fail. That's a problem, but thankfully Celestus is sort of like having a land drop a little bit. We're going to take some knocks from the Professor of Symbology for a little bit. Spellbinder, luckily we have 2 4-drops that are meaningful here, so the Spellbinder doesn't hurt quite so much. Interesting that they take the Windfall. I guess that's probably right. And I think I'm supposed to protect my life total so the Spellbinder goes away. Land drop on top. Happy to see it. Okay, let's foretell Behold the Multiverse and plan to divide by 0 this turn. If the opponent doesn't give us anything to divide by 0, then we just cast the other half of Behold. Infernal Grasp, probably better than Fading Hope in hand, I believe. Gives us something to do against a Righteous Valkyrie. One plays Environmental Sciences, makes a land drop, probably plays the Elite Spellbinder. If they play the Elite Spellbinder, what do we do? Do we divide by 0 that? We should probably divide by 0 that and get the draw too. Oh, I don't want to miss a land drop. And if I get rid of the pathway and play the teachings, there's a chance that we miss the land drop. I guess I play teachings and then Behold the Multiverse. Alright. Okay, we draw Jwari Disruption, so we're not in danger of missing the land drop. I'm going to draw 3 here, regardless of whether I play the Jwari Disruption first or not. Yes, that is correct. Tap lands and untap lands. Spikefield Hazard's pretty excellent. I think I play the untap land so that I can Spikefield Hazard the Elite Spellbinder and still play Behold the Multiverse. Opponent Pyre of Heroes. Should I Spikefield Hazard the Professor so that they don't get to turn that into a 3-drop? Yes. And if their follow-up play is to try to play the 3-drop, then I get to Jwari Disruption that. And if it's a 2-drop, then I get to Behold the Multiverse. Okay. This is developing nicely. I am probably just going to draw a bunch of cards. That seems like a good way to hit land drops. Infernal Grasp seems pretty good, and land drop seems pretty good. Spikefield Hazard, almost tempting, but probably not good enough. Land drop, we're probably going to hit naturally anyway. Hullbreaker Horror, lovely to see. So let's play the land drop, hold up divide by 0. Opponent plays a cleric? Sure. Does the opponent sack a cleric and go get a 3-drop? No, they play Professor of Symbology. I could divide by 0 the Pyre of Heroes in response to this. Is that what I want to do? I don't think so. I think I'd rather just Infernal Grasp whatever 3-drop they go get. Alex 9167. Thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. Teachings of the Archaics, sure. Alright, opponent gets a 3-drop. I kind of feel like they're probably going to get Spellbinder here. Yeah. Alright, opponent. I'm assuming that has to target Hullbreaker Horror, because I don't feel like you have answers to Hullbreaker Horror. It targets Hullbreaker Horror, because the opponent doesn't really have answers to Hullbreaker Horror. Okay. Well then, for the sake of mana efficiency... Wow, they played Glasspool Mimic as a creature. Or as a land, instead of a creature. It's kind of surprising. Alright, Spellbinder goes away. I'm kind of running out of cards. I can Galvanic plus Windfall next turn. I think I want to turn it into night. Maybe get to loot away this Jwari Disruption. Gain some life. Everybody's happy with that. Meathook Massacre is a nice card to have. We've gotten our hand size down slightly, so it's hard for the opponent to use Teachings now. Teachings not a super great combo with Spellbinder as it happens. Okay, Cleric of Life's Bond hits. Opponent's creatures grow a little bit. Opponent plays Spellbinder, presumably makes Meathook Massacre more expensive. How much can I cast Meathook Massacre for next turn? 5? Okay, we're getting rid of Pyre of Heroes then. I don't want the opponent to be able to turn something into a Righteous Valkyrie here. And we're going to snag Mascot Exhibition. Plan is that we're going to Meathook Massacre to wipe the board. Yeah, I don't think they're going to take Meathook. I think they're probably going to take Mascot Exhibition, maybe Infernal Grasp. Because I'm probably playing Meathook anyway. Yeah, they take Mascot. That makes sense. They don't really have any good takes there, honestly. Yeah, and they replay Pyre. And make a land drop, apparently? Or don't, which probably means they have another Glasspool Mimic in hand. Or some other land that's actually a spell. Get to put Galvanic in our graveyard. That's cool. Draw an Unexpected Windfall. That's pretty cool too. Okay, so I'm assuming they have Agadeem's Awakening, probably, because that's the worst that's the worst modal level faced card they could have for us. Inquisitor Captain, sure. That hits, and in response to the trigger... In response to the... Did they sideboard out so many creatures that this doesn't do anything? Whoops. Okay. Okay. Alright. Time to start playing fast. Three, 4... Yeah, okay. Removing Spellbinder. I don't want the opponent to be able to Pyre of Heroes into something. Alright, so we're representing Hullbreaker Horror here. I'm going to decline. I actually really want this to go up to the formula. I probably should just loot to put stuff in the graveyard, because I could draw Lier at some point, but yeah. Okay. So, I just have to maximize how fast I'm playing to spare time for game 3. Okay, Inquisitor Captain buffed. Inquisitor Captain gets sacked to go get a 5-drop? Okay. Wasn't expecting them to have 5 drops, but sure. What does that turn into then? Pillar Drop Rescuer. Oh, okay. Alright, let us begin winning the game then. You want to double block this Hullbreaker Horror opponent? Sure. Alright, Galvanic Iteration. Bounce the Righteous Valkyrie, because I don't want to bounce the Pillar Drop Rescuer. Jwari Shelter. Okay. That gives protection from blue. Am I okay with that? I guess I have to be. Because I actually do want to double this Discover the Formula. So then we're going to bounce the Pillar Drop Rescuer because we kind of have to. Good enough. Okay. Decline in the interest of time. Opponent's really going to play this for clock, so I probably need to stop being in streamer mode and start being in just play fast, no commentary mode. Galvanic plus Epiphany is probably good enough. Or not if they take Epiphany. Okay. Still, regular Epiphany is pretty good. Actually, if I hit untap land, I still get to do double Epiphany. Yeah, Professor's their answer to horror. Okay, come on. Untap land. Galvanic. Return Righteous Valkyrie to hand. Return Spellbinder to hand. Take 2 extra turns. Attack. Gain some life. Sorin. Return to hand. Down tick. Mascot Exhibition. Choose not to. Attack. Take an extra turn. Down tick. Attack. Pass the turn. Alright. Decline. We got 8 whole minutes left for the next one. Righteous Valkyrie. Play Hullbreaker Horror. Don't let them learn. Divide by 0. Return. Return. Decline. No. I'm misclicking and losing precious time. Decline. Alright. Now we actually have to win the next one kind of fast. At least this will be dramatic. Unless we just lose. And then it'll be a little less dramatic. Okay, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I'm pretty convinced Sorin's a bad idea on the draw. I'm willing to bring in a Parasitic Grasp instead. Although Meathook Massacre is also sort of appealing, I'm probably just supposed to be happy with Parasitic Grasp. Other than that... yeah. Alright. We gotta make decisions pretty quick. It's too bad that so many of their clerics are things that aren't humans. Why not the go blank? The opponents... the thing that our opponent does that is the most threatening to us is aggro, essentially. I don't know how much go blank does against them. Oh, this hand's super terrible. I'm gonna mulligan for something more aggressive. I think I have to. This hand's fine. I don't think I can keep the Hullbreaker Horror. Although it's kind of tempting, too, because it's an actual win con. It's too painful to get it hit by a creature early on. Spellbinder. That's the one. Sure, that's fine. I'm going to make Behold the Multiverse more expensive. I guess they could make Divide by Zero more expensive. Okay. Alright, Inquisitor Captain, and this time presumably they have enough targets for it? Yes. Yeah, that's going to complicate things a lot. Oh, I see. The idea is if you exile a bunch of their creatures with the go blanks, then they don't get to have Inquisitor Captain work. Yeah, that might actually be good enough. Yeah, Spellbinder's pretty painful. That was the worst case scenario. Unexpected Windfall is not a bad draw. So now the opponent plays Inquisitor Captain and tries to kill us. No, they go for Righteous Valkyrie instead? Into Inquisitor Captain, presumably? The hope is we hit Meathook Massacre here then. So they can Pyre of Heroes into Righteous Valkyrie, and that's actually extremely good. Because that'll give them 5 life, put them up to 27. Then the Righteous Valkyries trigger. Oh, cool, they don't sack the Spellbinder. That's confusing, but I'm happy. They grab Aura instead. Huh, okay. So we Behold the Multiverse. Don't want those cards. Galvanic's interesting. I don't think I want the land drop as much as I want teachings. Divide, sure, that's something. Hullbreaker Horror. Okay. That's the out. That was the out. How do we play this then? Play land drop? 5, 6. I'm 1 mana short of doing anything terribly meaningful here, unfortunately. So I might still just die. Okay. I'm just going to lose if they have a removal spell if I do the Hullbreaker Horror line. Alternatives... not much. I think I have to go for alternatives, though. I lose to so many things here if I just play Hullbreaker Horror. I think I have to, though. Or I have to not play Hullbreaker Horror. So Jwari Shelter gets me close to dead. Guardian of Faith. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can beat that. I guess Hullbreaker Horror did technically play around that. Alright, puts me to 5. Board wipe, not quite good enough now. Well, not good enough. 3, 6, 7, 3. Okay. Block, bounce, dead. Yeah, block, bounce, dead. So, Mascot Exhibition first. Blocker, blocker, blocker. Not good, but not dead. No, dead to air. Well, no, not dead to air. Probably dead to air. So close, but not quite. Barely not stabilized in time. Oh, gained enough life to turn on Righteous Valkyrie. What do they sacrifice to do that, though? Oh, this line's kind of weird. I guess there's an aura in play, so... Oh no, this still works because they have 4 attackers that all are big enough. Okay, yeah, this kills us. Bummer. Oh well, we tried.